Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. No, Mario. I am your father. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. Mark, how's it going?
I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah?
I love
Prove
that
it. I could hear there was a little bit of a challenge in my voice, and I didn't know why it was there. There's a little bit of
you are excited to be here?
You started to say there's a little...
Oh, just like chill in the air. It's really nice.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually kind of beginning to feel a little like fall.
'Tis the season.
Truly.
We've got some like grade A Nintendo Cartridge Society nonsense to get to today.
100% silliness.
So look, we'll get into that in a second. But first, the normal business, Sonic Forces. This is a quintessential NCS business right here. You want to borrow my copy of Sonic Forces? You can.
That also sounds a little bit like a challenge.
Does
You're
it?
like, oh, you want to borrow my copy of Sonic Forces?
Well, you can't unless you email us at nintendocartridgesociety@gmail.com and give us a mailing address where I can send this copy of this game. You play it for as long as you want. You send it back. It doesn't cost you anything.
Is it out right now?
What's that?
Is it out right now?
What do you mean?
Sonic Forces.
Oh, yeah. Yes, it is out on assignment presently. And then the other thing that we are up to at the moment is that we are trying to determine what the single best piece of Nintendo music is. We know that there's one perfect piece of Nintendo music out there, but we can't determine it without your help.
That's right. We need you to send in nominations for what you think the best piece of Nintendo music is. We're going to arrange this into a bracket. Patrick and myself and a special guest are going to then pare this bracket down until an ultimate champion is crowned. But
yes,
you have, I think, a little over a week to send this in at this point.
We need them before November 22nd. At that time, we'll be closing the floor for submissions. No further submissions can get through. And also, we cannot nominate songs or pieces of music for this contest.
Right, so we need you to send those to us. You can send as many as you want, but please try to prioritize them with your, the picks you want us to talk about the most at the top. We're going to try to cover everybody's picks. The list is daunting, but, we're conquering our fear.
Yeah.
We're saying, bring it on.
Yeah. I mean, it's a more the merrier situation at this point. So, bring it on. Email us, Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com or tweet at us at NinCart Society.
And I say this every time, but as we're getting closer, do not take anything for granted.
Yes. Nothing should be taken for granted. And also, there are some people who are they're like, I don't know if this counts as a Nintendo song. If it is a piece of music that is prominently featured on a game that appears on a Nintendo platform, it's fair game.
Yeah, send it in. We can we will sort it out later.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we can bring down the band hammer however and whenever we want. Well, your contributions are very important. We will be indiscriminately cutting things, I'm sure. All right, Mark, are you ready to get into our weird little topic this week?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. We alluded to this last time, but Star Wars is in the air right now, right? Mandalorian, we're watching now, 2 episodes are out? My gosh. And Jedi Fallen Order is coming out on not Nintendo platforms on Friday. And also, Rise of Skywalker is coming up, and we're both reading in Star Wars books and comics. So we're in it right now, right? We are thinking about Star Wars. We're living, loving Star Wars. So we thought, how can we relate this back to Nintendo, right? There has to be a way. And I guess neither one of us wanted to play the Star Wars game that just came out on Switch.
Wait, what? Oh, yeah. I totally forgot about it.
Yeah, okay. Also, I didn't really want to play like a PlayStation 2 game on my Switch. So what we decided is that it would be fun for us to take the Star Wars movies, remove those characters, and replace them with Nintendo characters.
Right. We are casting
Mm-hmm.
the Star Wars movies, just the Skywalker episodes.
Yeah. So you don't need to worry about Rogue One. You don't need to worry about the Clone Wars animated series. You don't need to worry about the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge Crash of Fate book. None of those characters are going to come into play here. We're just talking the characters you know and love.
And I think we should start where it only makes sense to start, and that's with Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope.
Great, because look, I understand there are other orders that we could approach these things in, but release order. Please, everyone, release order. Nothing else matters.
Look, if you are introducing somebody to Star Wars, release order is the only thing that makes sense. Now, look, I get it. You're a Star Wars fan. You've seen the movies a million times. Sure, do
if you
whatever
if you've
order
seen it
you
a
want
million
to do.
times and you want to do the machete order.
Yeah, or whatever order named after your favorite Danny Trejo movie.
Yeah, and I think that is how those are constructed, is by naming them after Danny Trejo movies. Okay, so we will start with Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. Let's start with this trio.
Oh, okay.
Oh no,
Well, I was gonna say we should start with and this is either a good idea or a bad idea.
Great.
But the characters that will follow us through all 9 of these movies
are the droids.
I was gonna say the droids because I'm not entirely sure where to go with a lot of these, but I think I have a pretty good one for C-3PO. But I'm open to debate.
Okay, well let's hear your C-3PO.
Toad.
So
he's a little bit of a coward.
Mm-hmm. And I just because of the shape of his head, I want to save him for either an R2-D2 or a BB-8.
He does have a very yes, aesthetically, I agree. He has more of a squat round droid vibe.
He's also just more jovial is the thing. Like C-3PO is an uptight jerk, right?
Right.
And maybe jerk is a little bit too harsh, but he's uptight. There's no debating that.
Tightly wound for
yes.
sure.
Are there? Well, what do you want to do here? We're already at a stalemate, Mark. We're gonna have to shut this whole thing down.
Well, I don't know the word a stalemate.
Oh, sure.
Because
we haven't tried to.
We haven't really tried
it all
to move past it. So I don't know that I'd really call it a stalemate. And maybe I proffered at the beginning that it was either a good idea or a bad idea for us to start there.
Sure.
So perhaps it was a bad idea.
I mean, how do you feel about Toad as R2-D2?
So the only thing that I don't love about that is that R2-D2 is the troublemaker of the two, right? He has a lot of ambition. He's the go-getter. And I don't feel maybe Captain Toad, but Toad I don't feel is mischievous enough.
Sure.
For an R2-D2.
In the earliest part of the R2-D2 chronology, he is being awarded for his bravery. Specifically, they award a droid a medal for bravery because he did his job in repairing the shield generator on Queen Amidala's ship. So, yeah, I guess it's not right to make Toad a courageous character. So, geez, I don't know. If you want to go ahead and put him in the role of C-3PO, I'll back that.
I think we do that as a placeholder.
Okay.
Right? And then as the world opens up to us, we may find a better use for him.
Sure.
But I think it's good as our cornerstone.
Yeah. So I think then we have to find someone that works with Toad as R2-D2. Now, like you say, a little bit more mischievous, has goals of his own. I'm going to throw this out. What about Nabbit from the Mario series?
Yes, I'm into Nabbit.
So I generally speaking don't really like Nabbit, and I love R2-D2. But I think this is going to be good for my relationship with Nabbit.
Yeah, I
to
think
make
so.
him R2D2.
Yeah, and again, like we can revisit this as the world of it opens up to us a little bit. Okay, so yeah, I think now that we kind of have those two in place, let's move on to our trio.
Right. So the trio, of course, is Luke, Han, and Leia.
So, and maybe this is cliche, but my immediate thought for Luke is Link.
So I almost want to save Link for Anakin for the following reason. We have seen young Link, who could be our episode 1.
Our Jake Lloyd.
Yeah, that's right. And then we've seen like regular Link, who is our Hayden Christensen in episodes 2 and 3. And then Dark Link for Darth Vader.
Oh, yeah, because I was wondering, yes. I think where, like it doesn't fit perfectly, of course, is that Link is never, other than Dark Link, like Link is never bad.
Sure.
Right,
So,
in the way that like Anakin turns.
Right. If Link is slaying young children, something has gone wrong.
Right.
In the Zelda story machine. Okay, well, oh boy, Anakin's tough.
So, I mean, Anakin.
Yes. Or do you want to cast them as separate?
How do you feel? Oh, we could. We totally could cast them as separate characters. Like, depending on, like, Darth Vader could be somebody different.
Yeah.
Than
Anakin.
Like, yeah, because I do think Child Link makes a complete sense for young Anakin.
Yeah. I know we said that we were going to start with episode 4.
And even we're past it. We're past it.
Yeah.
Even I would even argue like Attack of the Clones Anakin could be Link. Could be like the more adult Link. I think it's just like when like Revenge of the Sith Anakin, I don't think Link fits there.
So what about this? What if episodes 1, 2, and 3, Anakin Skywalker is Link, but they are young Link, and Dark Link?
Okay. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
But then I think we need to someone else as Darth Vader. Okay. So that's in the back of our minds.
As we focus on
Luke Skywalker. Or Luke, Han, and Leia. This is tough. Okay, so Han Solo, right? We got it. There has to be like
Fox McCloud.
Fox McCloud, I think, is perfect, and there's no point pitching alternates to it.
I mean, he just has like that swagger.
He definitely does. Fox McCloud. And okay, so Luke and Leia then.
So Leia, I feel kind of like Samus. It's not a perfect fit, right? Obviously because of their occupations, but
right. I mean, Nintendo does offer us so many princesses. What about Zelda? Or if we're casting Anakin as Link, does Amidala have to be Zelda? You know what I'm saying?
I do see what you're saying. I feel like Amidala would almost be, again, we are focused on episode 4.
We're focused on episode 4.
But Amidala is a complicated one to cast because in a lot of ways she's in some ways she's passive in the films. I think like in the expanded universe and like the novelizations and the books, you get a better sense of like what her agenda is. But in the movies, not a lot of that is conveyed very well.
Especially episode 3. Like, she's a almost completely inactive character in Revenge of the Sith.
To me, the part that's easiest to like focus on there is like the idea of like the politician or somebody who is right. And then I feel like Leia is more of a character of action, which I do think some versions of Zelda fit that.
Well, so that's, I mean, like maybe we could make her either Tetra, so that she's like the like pirate who is also the princess, or the like Ocarina of Time Zelda, who is also Sheik.
And yeah, that one I feel like makes a lot of sense to me.
So do we want to just put Zelda, or do we want to say Tetris specifically? I kind of want to go Tetris specifically.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right, Tetra/Zelda. All right, which means we still need to cast our Luke. Are we holding off on Mario for any particular reason?
I know that was kind of my thought as well. But the thing that's difficult about Luke is that like I think other than Link, he follows like Luke follows such like a very strong like heroes cycle.
Yeah.
And Mario never really has that. Do you know what I mean? There's no hesitation, there's no like longing or want for anything bigger, which I feel like is such like a core part of who Luke Skywalker is.
Let me hit you with this. Ness from Earthbound.
Yeah, I do see that, because the beginning of Earthbound, right? Ness is just like an average kid, and then something outside of, you know, like his normal life,
something from space,
happens, and then he has to react to that and get his like group together to carry it out. So yeah, I think Ness is a great pick.
All right, we're going with Ness. Okay, so now let's build out the ancillary heroes from Episode 4, which I think are just going to be Obi-Wan Kenobi and Chewbacca, right?
So Obi-Wan Kenobi again is difficult because he also exists in the prequel trilogy, and that really is kind of like the same character, whereas it's easier to make like a delineation between Anakin and Darth Vader.
Yeah.
So do we try to find a character who can
somehow encompass all of that?
Right.
I
like
mean, we may need to use like a Fire Emblem character or something here. Like Obi-Wan Kenobi might be a Marth, or I mean, Marth is maybe our best bet there. You want to go with Marth?
Just because Marth is so like...
Just because Marth as a character exists in so many of the Fire Emblem games as either like a young prince who is like a warrior for the kingdom, or who is like, you know, a storied warrior king. And then maybe all of that is a little bit too grandiose for what Obi-Wan Kenobi is. Because he's sort of like a... I don't know. Like Obi-Wan Kenobi... he's like a get the job done kind of guy.
He
right?
is, but he's a mentor through basically all of the films, and that's something that's kind of like forced upon him.
Yeah.
Especially after Qui-Gon dies in Phantom Menace. But again, you know, looking at Nintendo characters, where like who is put, I guess, into that role of mentor. And immediately, because I've been playing Luigi's Mansion, I think of Egad.
Sure, I like that. I like Professor Egad.
Because, you know, I can imagine a young Professor Egad, you know, with a little less gray in his, like, whatever he has going on for hair.
Yeah, that little tuft.
Uh-huh.
I mean, mostly I'm just loving imagining a young Professor Egad. Like, that's very attractive to me. When he's just undergrad Egad.
Yeah.
Undergrad Egad! And Chewbacca. This is where I want to pull Mario in. I think Mario should be our Chewbacca.
Mario's a great Chewbacca because he's a good friend.
Yep.
You know, he's willing to put himself in danger for you.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have can't really converse a whole bunch, except with certain people.
Right.
Yeah, I think Mario is a great pick for Chewbacca.
So that means, I think so we definitely need Darth Vader.
Mm-hmm.
And then beyond that, like, we could cast a Tarkin, but I don't know that we need to.
Yeah. So for Darth Vader, I was kind of thinking Ganondorf.
That's good. I think maybe we should go with that. Because, like, especially if we're using Link in various forms for, like, Anakin, that when he just goes full evil, that he should just be Ganondorf.
Right.
I like that.
Although, not to complicate this too much, but there is... this is where we get in trouble for, like, separating Anakin and Darth Vader, because, of course, at the end of Return of the Jedi, Darth Vader turns in a way that, like, Ganondorf is never going to. he's never going
Yes.
to like find his humanity again. But I think by casting Link as that earlier character, you buy the journey.
Right. And also then when we see the Force Ghost at the end of Return of the Jedi, it is a Force Ghost of Link. So like we're watching it and we're a little confused, but like we ultimately
But
get
we
it.
like go with it.
Yeah, we're like,
Yeah.
fine. Okay, cool. So just to recap, our R2D2 is Nabbit. C3PO is Toad. Luke is Ness. Han is Fox McCloud. Leia is Tetra/Zelda. Obi-Wan Kenobi is Professor Egad. Chewie is Mario. And Darth Vader is Ganondorf.
I think that's solid.
Okay, so new characters introduced in The Empire Strikes Back. Is this just Lando and Yoda?
And the Emperor.
Sure. Yeah, I was going to count him as...
like Palpatine and...
well, that's a good question, too. What I was leading towards is that we were going to cast him when we get to Return of the Jedi.
Oh,
like,
sure.
He
yeah.
appears,
Oh,
he
yeah,
appears
yeah.
briefly,
That's fair. That's
okay,
fair.
so Lando and Yoda.
So our pickings are kind of slim for Lando.
Well, how so? Because we really just need someone who's like we're doing Lando at this point in his life, right?
Oh, sure.
So it's a Lando who's like settled down, has maybe become like a businessman with like a shady past.
So he's Tom Nook.
So Tom Nook or possibly Rusty from Rusty's Real Deal Baseball.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. He is 100% Rusty from Rusty's Real Deal Baseball.
Which means that
he's like about wheeling and dealing.
Yep.
He's got to keep his store running.
He's got to
but he's like an honorable,
yes,
trusty person.
And like you can bargain with him in good faith.
Yes.
He will genuinely take you up on I want to pay $2 less for this than I'm supposed to. So Yoda's tricky because like, do you want to follow the like wise sage end of it, or the fact that he's like a goofball?
Right.
Because Yoda is both. Or do you just want to be like, I want something cute and green and Yoshi? Like, what do you do here?
Okay. I am gonna go with the Happy Mask Salesman.
Okay.
Because
sell me on it.
To me, it's because Yoda is multifaceted, right? Like, I think he's a complex character. You see in The Empire Strikes Back, right? Him towards the end of his life, and he has like a sense of like mischievousness, but there's also like a sadness
and a darkness too.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I feel like you really get that a lot in the prequel trilogy when you begin to understand that and I feel like The Last Jedi does a really interesting job of articulating this, because the history of the Jedi really is kind of like a history of failure.
Yeah.
And it's like Yoda, you see the Jedi Council really like struggle with these decisions and like the bureaucracy of what it means to be a Jedi and all these kind of things that really like are they're not that like fun, adventurous, like Jedi, being a Jedi part that you
totally,
get
yeah.
of like in the original trilogy, where it's just like, oh, what does it mean to be a Jedi? Right? You get like this whole other side of it. And I think that sadness, that complexity, it really draws me to the Happy Mask Salesman, because I think even in those cutscenes in Majora's Mask, you get like a feeling of like uneasiness of there is some sort of like power or whatever to him, but also like darkness and sadness.
Yeah, totally. I think that's a great pull, and also that there's something like there's some powerful magic behind him too. Like I think that is another way that the Happy Mask Salesman and Yoda are one and the same. I realized we left out a crucial character introduced in The Empire Strikes Back, Boba Fett.
Oh yes.
Samus Aran.
Yeah, yes, 100%. Who did we pick for Luke?
Ness.
Okay,
Yeah.
The only part now that I'm thinking about this is like Luke in The Last Jedi, right?
That's interesting, yeah.
And maybe we end up casting a different character for that, but just something to think about as we're thinking about.
Yeah.
Ness as Luke.
Yeah, yes. 100%. Okay, so the new characters, Lando is Rusty from Rusty's Real Deal Baseball. Yoda is the Happy Mask Salesman, and Boba Fett obviously is Samus Aran from Metroid. I think that's everything that we need from The Empire Strikes Back. Let's move on to Return of the Jedi, which means we need to cast the Emperor. And is that it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I guess you could argue that.
Do we need to cast like Wicket or like any of the Ewoks?
Right. Or I was thinking, oh man, I'm
Jabba
blanking on
the
his
Hutt?
name. Yeah, I feel like Jabba the Hutt and Art. Wow, why could I not think of his name from Mon Calam?
Sure, Admiral Akbar.
Admiral Akbar. I don't. Yeah.
From Mon Calamari. No, let's leave. That's because we could also get like we didn't do a Greedo.
Oh sure,
you know?
yeah.
So let's just go Emperor and Jabba the Hutt.
Okay.
And that'll
The major players.
the major players.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
So you brought up the Emperor when we were talking about The Empire Strikes Back. Did you have someone in mind?
Yes, but I'm blanking on his name. What is the name of the like bad ape from Star Fox?
Andros.
Andros.
Yeah, just sort of like the ultimate evil in the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
Frequently is just a floating head and then a floating brain. It's
Right.
Andros. It's Andros. That is 100% correct. And then Jabba the Hutt. Who's it? Wario.
Yes. And Waluigi is Salacious Crumb. Even though we're not doing side
Even
characters.
though we're not, we'll know that. I'm not
Yeah.
going to write it down.
No,
We'll
because
just
it's not
know.
official. But just everybody in your mind, hold that.
Okay, so I think we've got the original trilogy down pat. Nabbit and Toad are R2-D2 and C-3PO respectively. Ness, Fox McCloud, and Tetra are Luke, Han, and Leia. Professor Egad and Mario are Obi-Wan Kenobi and Chewbacca. Ganondorf is Darth Vader. And then Lando is Rusty, Yoda is the Happy Mask Salesman, Boba Fett is Samus Aran, the Emperor is Andros, and Jabba the Hutt is Wario. We're doing great so far. Are you ready to dig into the prequel trilogy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So first things first, Anakin Skywalker, we know is going to be
Child Link
right
from Phantom Menace. We're saying
Right.
yes.
But then beyond, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, is that still going to be Professor Egad, a young Professor Egad?
Oh, sure. Okay, this is fair because we've decided that we can cast different characters.
We can
for
if
different parts.
if we need to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not convinced that we do need to.
I mean, Claude from Fire Emblem Three Houses for young Obi-Wan, and maybe I'm just thinking of the braid, but
I mean, let's do it. Here's the thing: we are also going to need. Yeah, no, I mean, whatever. Let's do it. Young Obi-Wan. Yeah.
And so,
So Claude from Fire Emblem Three Houses.
yeah,
And then we do need a Qui-Gon Jinn.
yes.
There are a lot of characters in the prequels. My God. Okay.
So Qui-Gon does not follow the rules, right?
No,
Like,
not at all.
He's a Jedi, so he's a Claude, but a little bit sassier, right? A little bit less faith in the system, I would say.
Yeah, and also like has kind of his own thing, sets his own priorities. Like,
He has his own agenda. I
Yeah.
feel like that he's definitely working off of.
and also like kind of impatient with everyone else. He's like, surely you see the boy is the chosen
Right,
one.
yeah.
Like, that scene in the Jedi Council when he's like, what? Hold on, you guys don't see this? Yeah, who is this character? Who in the Nintendo universe is Liam Neeson?
Oh.
We may need to come back to this.
Okay,
one.
yeah.
So who else is in Phantom Menace?
Well,
Amidala.
Amidala, yeah.
Which I don't think we really had a good idea for before. Rosalina.
I think that is a good pick.
Let's do Rosalina. Both because she's a like diplomatic character, can spring into action when she needs to, is also like there's a maternal aspect to Rosalina that obviously is Amidala's undoing. Not her undoing. She dies in childbirth. That's not
Not her
why
fault.
she no. It's not like her mortal flaw or anything. But so she can be our Queen Amidala. And then we also need Jar Jar.
Oh yeah.
Any ideas for Jar Jar Binks?
I'm immediately being like, what characters are like? Maybe this doesn't count because it's a Square Enix character, but my immediate thought is like Vivi from like the Black Mage from Final Fantasy IX.
There is too much sadness to Vivi's life for him to be Jar Jar Binks.
But Jar Jar Binks' life is very sad. Like he was cast out of his home.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yes, he is, like a hero to the Gungans at the end of Phantom Menace, but he is the one who sets in motion the Empire.
Yeah, because he votes for Palpatine to have like special executive powers or whatever.
Right, because he's kind of like manipulated into it. And so I think, I mean, it's a different kind of sadness, but it's not like Jar Jar Binks' arc is pretty sad. Also, the Gungans are just like they are, yeah, right. Like in the beginning of the Phantom Menace, they've been treated horribly by the people of Naboo.
Oh yeah,
right. It's basically just like.
I mean, they've left the surface of the planet to make their underground cities, or I don't know if they used to be like amphibious or whatever.
And then like later in the expanded universe, or maybe even in the canon books currently, you find out that like no, after Amidala left, like years later, that no, like the people of Naboo started again treating the Gungans poorly.
Yeah. So who was your
Vivi from the Black Mage from Final Fantasy IX.
So I have a Nintendo pitch.
Okay.
But if we don't like it, we can go with with Vivi. The bunny from Nintendo Badge Arcade. An obnoxious character who gets up in your face, won't shut up when you're like, I just wish he would shut up. And has like a weird darkness to him where like maybe he's threatening you sometimes.
And also now that he's gone, people are, time has passed. People are like, I like Nintendo Badge Arcade.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. It's
I think
the
that's
Jar
a good
Jar
pick.
effect. Okay, we'll go with the bunny from Nintendo Badge Arcade. I'm just glad we got to use both Rusty and the bunny. All right. So far we have Anakin, young Obi-Wan. We still need to find a Qui-Gon, Amidala, and Jar Jar Binks. So who else do we actually absolutely need to
Darth
cast?
Maul, maybe?
So we need a Darth Maul. Do we need a Watto?
No, I don't think so. I think Watto falls into side character category.
Great.
I think Darth Maul, I would say Meta Knight.
Oh, that's perfect. I don't think that needs to be improved on at all. Okay, but Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah.
Which actually, now that we are putting him up against Meta Knight, let's not overthink this. Let's make it Kirby.
Okay.
Kirby v Meta Knight. We can watch Kirby run, or Meta Knight run Kirby through. And then Claude can kill Meta Knight.
Yeah, okay, yes. That I'm 100% on board for.
Okay, so just to review, Anakin is young Link. Young Obi-Wan is Claude. Qui-Gon Jinn is Kirby. Queen Amidala is Rosalina. Jar Jar Binks is the bunny from Nintendo Badge Arcade, and Darth Maul is Meta Knight.
Now, Palpatine, do we need to put like the Emperor, like that sort of thing?
So Palpatine, what do we do with Palpatine? Oh, Andros.
Oh yeah, that works.
Let's just he's the same throughout,
Mm-hmm.
I think. And he just looks more like a regular monkey in these movies. Okay, cool. So that leads us into episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Who is new in this that we need to cast? So Anakin, obviously, we are upgrading from young Link to just regular Link. But our Obi-Wan can still be Claude.
Yeah, 5 years later, Claude.
Yeah, and yeah, perfect. And Amidala can still be Rosalina.
Right.
There's no conflict there.
Maybe Jango Fett is the only one that we would need to think about.
And do we even really need to do that, or can we just say it's just still Samus Aran?
Oh yeah, it could be. I was gonna say Shy Guys was
the Shy Guys could be like the clone army.
Right, exactly.
I'm gonna put that down, that the clones are Shy Guys.
Oh, do we need to do Mace Windu? Do you think?
I mean, maybe. Certainly by the third movie, we need to do Mace Windu.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll talk about it in Revenge of the Sith.
So the clones are Shy Guys.
Count Dooku.
Yeah, I think we do need a Dooku.
Kind of like an older, stately gentleman.
I mean, here's the real problem with trying to cast Count Dooku. What are the characteristics of Count Dooku?
Yeah, that's true.
It's like impossible. The character has no personality.
Yeah. I mean, aesthetically, he's just like
an old man.
Yeah.
What about Dr. Jones from Star Tropics?
Yes.
Mike's uncle.
Yes.
Just another old okay, now quick think it over. Are there any other episode 2 characters we don't want, like Dax? Or is Dex? The guy who runs the 50s diner?
Oh yeah, I think it's Dex.
And we don't need like a Camino whatever.
No, Camino in. I don't think we need like the stern librarian lady. It's like, if it's not in the archives, it doesn't exist.
I hate how well we know these movies. All right, good. Let's move on to Revenge of the Sith. So here we definitely need to cast a
Mace Windu.
A Mace Windu and a General Grievous.
Yes.
But that might be it.
So who in the Nintendo, maybe a Wheezy from Pokemon could be General Grievous?
That's called that's a Weezing, right?
A Weezing, yeah. But they don't he's not really cobbled together from parts.
Sure, okay. Well, so maybe bear with me on this. Maybe it's a Mimikyu, the Pokemon, because General Grievous is not a Jedi, but like adopts the Jedi arts. He's cloaked in something. Like, he's not what he appears to be.
Yeah,
okay.
I really like that. I think that's good.
He's a Mimikyu. Mace Windu.
So Mace is hard because he's not very fleshed out in the movies, and he has a really thankless role of just kind of being the person who he just kind of like says no a lot and is concerned.
Yeah, and is a little bit like the muscle of the Jedi, right? But also like not totally. They don't really like let him like break out into that. So what character?
Well, and maybe this is too obvious, but because we said the Emperor is Andros, is it Fox's dad?
James McLeod?
Yeah. Not for like the relationship that they have.
Sure,
but just...
sure. This is a tough one.
Yeah.
I almost want to go into like are there one of the Breath of the Wild champions that makes sense, or like some deeper cut Zelda character that we may be able to like slot in here. I mean, I honestly I don't know. The character is so poorly characterized that I don't know that I would be like I almost don't know if it matters.
Right.
Let's make him Falco from Star Fox.
Okay.
Cuz like who cares? Okay. So for the prequels, just to recap, Anakin, we go young Link, Dark Link for episodes 1, 2, 3. Young Obi-Wan Kenobi is Claude. Qui-Gon Jinn is Kirby because Darth Maul is Meta Knight. Queen Amidala is Rosalina. Jar Jar Binks is the bunny from Nintendo Badge Arcade. All the clones are Shy Guys. Count Dooku is Dr. Jones from Star Tropics. Mace Windu is Falco. And General Grievous is a Mimikyu from Pokemon. Now, that brings us up to the sequel trilogy. Right?
Right.
Force Awakens. How would you like to start? You want to start with the trio?
Yeah, let's start with the trio. So we have Rey, Finn, and Poe.
Yep. All very short names. I'm just realizing as I type them all out. Okay, Rey. Awesome character who is kind of a loner, who has like innate power, and loves being a part of the universe that she is a part of. Who is Rey? I know I've already pitched a Star Tropics character, but what about Mike Jones from Star Tropics as Rey? He loves being on an island adventure.
He is a go-getter.
Yeah. I think it might be him.
I'm into it.
Mike Jones from Star Tropics. Poe and Finn.
So Finn is somebody, right, who was kind of like drafted into a life he didn't choose.
Yes.
And his arc thus far has really been about like finding, not running anymore, right? Like finding something to stand up for.
Yeah.
And like taking a stand.
Yeah. Luigi,
right? Yes.
Is that where you were going
yes.
with that? Yeah, 100%. I think Finn is Luigi, 100%. Poe Dameron,
ace pilot.
Shoot, should I have not used Falco before? I feel like Falco
does have a Falco energy for sure.
Shoot. Okay, we may need to go back to Mace Windu.
Okay. Well, I mean, our first pick was pretty arbitrary.
Right. So the second pick can also be pretty arbitrary. Okay. Mace Windu, going back to it.
I don't know. Is there a character who's kind of a scold? The owl from
sure.
Zelda?
Sure, the owl from Zelda. I love it. Okay.
Wait.
Yeah.
I am going to pitch Isabel for Rey.
Oh, yes. Because Isabel is also, first of all, she's so competent.
Right.
She's so good at her job. And also she just wants to be there. And like, yes, 100%.
Because I feel like Rey's, like her overarching characteristic is compassion.
Yeah, totally.
And I think Isabel's a good pick for that.
Good pick.
So does that free up
that frees up Mike Jones.
Okay.
Right. If we need to use him anywhere else. I'm not we don't need to. He seemed right to me in the moment, but I think Isabel's a better pick. So that leaves us with, we need a Kylo.
Okay. Let's see. So our Han is Fox.
Yes.
And our Leia is
Zelda / Tetra.
Tetra.
Right.
Okay. The child of Fox and Tetra would be...
It's got to be someone who is... This could be Mike Jones?
But Mike Jones doesn't have any, like, darkness.
No, he doesn't have any darkness to him. He's just jolly. He's just sticking bananas in his ears or something.
But could this potentially be Tingle?
Mark, sell me on it.
Look, okay,
sell me on it.
Tingle's whole thing, right, is that he just wants to be himself, but he has the pressure of family that is trying to tell him, like, this is what you're supposed to be. And I think Ben...
That's just like Ben being like, I feel the pull towards the light.
Well, yeah, because, you know, like, he has this, like, family history that would be impossible for anybody to live up to, that it's so difficult for him to be just like, who is Ben Solo? Like, who is that? And I think he never, as a kid, really had the opportunity to just... he never had that freedom, right? There were always those weight of responsibility, and I think Tingle always had that weight of responsibility. And it wasn't until... And look, guys, we're getting a Kylo redemption arc. You know, like,
you think so? You think we're getting a Kylo redemption arc?
It's Star Wars. It's all about, like, you can always make new choices today, right? Your path is never set.
Sure.
And I think, you know, it took Tingle until he was in his 30s to figure out what he wanted to do. I
Draw maps or something.
right. Yeah, be weird.
Hang from a
And look,
balloon.
and all I want for Kylo Ren for Ben Solo is just to like let his freak flag fly
Yeah.
and like be him, like without any of the weight that he's had to carry all of these years.
100%. Okay, so I'll agree with that. Kylo Ren is going to be Tingle. I think that leaves us with one more character from Force Awakens, and then I think so. Let's do that. But BB-8.
Mm-hmm.
So we need a BB-8 character. And just to remind you, our R2D2 and C-3PO are Nabbit and Toad. I don't know if that necessarily affects who's going to be our BB-8. Also, we don't need to do like like we could do Phasma, and
I feel like Phasma is such a non-entity in the movies.
Yeah, me too. And also like Hux. I don't know that we need Hux.
Mm-hmm.
Although here's a real easy pitch for Hux. Is I forget it. Oh, Fawful from the Mario and Luigi games.
Oh, I don't think I know who that is.
He's just like he talks and shouts a lot.
Yeah, that sounds yep.
But BB-8. Who's BB-8?
Okay. So BB-8 is even more so than R2D2, like really expressive, very precocious.
Mm-hmm.
He's helpful, but you see, like, one of the things I really love about BB-8, and I think it's such a fun evolution on this idea of like how the droids interact in the world, is you see him being like suspicious. He's just so expressive.
Yes,
and I think that is the super fun aspect of BB-8.
I've got a pitch. Navi from The Legend of Zelda.
I was okay. I do. I like that a lot, and so I'm not saying no to that. My counter pitch is Yoshi.
That's perfect. That's perfect. BB-8 is Yoshi. I like that so much. They're both good answers.
But actually, maybe Navi should be C-3PO.
That's perfect. Yes, because who else? Listen,
right?
That is such a C-3PO. Okay, so sorry, Toad, you are being replaced by Navi. Okay, great. So we do. Oh, Hux is Fawful.
Hi.
Hux is Fawful.
And then, do we need to do Snoke?
I mean, maybe when we get to The Last Jedi.
Okay.
I think we're probably done with Force Awakens, which is to recap. Rey is Isabelle from Animal Crossing. Poe is Falco from Star Fox. Finn is Luigi. Kylo Ren is Tingle. BB-8 is Yoshi. And Hux is Fawful from the Mario and Luigi series.
I also feel like while we're doing this, like part of it is like, man, Nintendo needs more colors of character. Characters of color.
Yeah, well, yes. I mean, 100%. So in The Last Jedi, right? That's where we are now. We need to get a Rose.
Yes.
And we need a Snoke. And I think that might be it.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
You could always make a case for like old man Luke, but the Luke that we currently have is Ness. I like the idea of an old man,
old grizzled Ness.
Yeah, who is just taken after his father and is distant, right? He's
oh yeah, totally.
That's perfect. But so Rose, I have a pitch for Rose.
Okay.
Toadette.
I was 100% going to say Toadette.
Because she is she's got like tools. She's gonna fix whatever's wrong. Remember how Toadette's like the foreman in Super Mario Maker 2, but also she has the Captain Toad adventurous spirit. Like I think 100%.
Yeah.
Rose is Toadette.
So that leaves us with Snoke.
Yep. Another Emperor type.
Mm-hmm. So one of the kind of tropes, especially I think of later Zelda games, the Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword maybe as well, is this idea of like somebody who is set up to be the big bad, but actually it's just that is not true. It just turns out to be Ganon or Ganondorf again.
Yeah, totally.
And so that feels like a type of character that we do see.
Sure, or I mean, we even see it in Link to the Past with Aghanim. that like sorcerer guy that you meet he appears to be the big bad of the world of light, and it's not, you beat him and then you get to the dark world, and that's when you're like, oh, it's really Ganon. Oh, you got to stop Ganon.
There's also, you could make an argument for something like Bowser Jr. or the Brutals, where they're
I
like,
mean, it is interesting that we haven't used Bowser yet.
Yeah, that's true. But Bowser, the reason why I feel like Bowser doesn't really fit into any of the villain roles, maybe outside of something like a Darth Vader or Darth Maul. I mean, maybe he's Grievous or Dooku, because Bowser is so transparent about his, desires and his evil. And one of the hallmarks of the Star Wars villains is that they are kind of like, they work in the shadows. They're cloaked with secrecy.
Yeah. So I had to look it up, but the villain that we are meant to believe is the villain of Twilight Princess is named Zant, and he's the guy with this like big crate. He's one of like the Twilight creatures, and he's got this like big weird hat on and these dark flowing robes. He may be our Snoke.
Right. Yeah.
So let's go with Zant. Is there anyone else that you want to cast in The Last Jedi? Benicio del Toro's character.
Holdo, maybe?
Yeah, I don't know. They all feel like they're a kind of
tangential.
Ancillary characters.
Yeah.
All right, I think we've done it.
I think so too.
Okay, so just to shall we review them all?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so here are your Star Wars characters as Nintendo characters. R2-D2 is Nabbit from the Mario series. C-3PO is Navi the Fairy from Zelda. Luke, Han, and Leia are Ness from Earthbound, Fox McCloud from Star Fox, and Tetra from Wind Waker. Obi-Wan Kenobi is Professor Egad. Chewbacca is Mario, which I think is the best one of these. Darth Vader is Ganondorf. Lando Calrissian is Rusty from Rusty's Real Deal Baseball. Yoda is the Happy Mask Salesman, and Boba Fett is Samus Aran. And then rounding out the original trilogy, the Emperor is Andros, and Jabba the Hutt is Wario. Also, we know that Salacious Crumb is Waluigi,
but not official
on
part
of the list.
We just keep that in our minds and in our hearts.
Moving into the prequel trilogy, Anakin Skywalker is Link, starting with young Link, going to regular Link, and then Dark Link throughout the course of the series. Young Obi-Wan Kenobi is Claude from Fire Emblem Three Houses. What a good boy. Qui-Gon Jinn is Kirby, because Darth Maul is Meta Knight. Queen Amidala is Rosalina. Jar Jar Binks is the bunny from Nintendo Badge Arcade. Moving into Attack of the clones are Shy Guys. Count Dooku is, of course, played by Dr. Jones from Star Tropics. Mace Windu is played by the owl from Zelda. And General Grievous is a Mimikyu from Pokemon. Moving into the sequel trilogy, Rey is played by Isabelle from Animal Crossing. Poe is played by Falco from Star Fox. Finn is played by Luigi, because man, he's a coward, but he's trying to get over it. Kylo Ren is Tingle, because it's perfect. BB-8 is Yoshi. Hux is Fawful from the Mario and Luigi series. Rose Tico is Toadette. And Snoke is Zant. Mark, we've done it. Let's close this out. Now, we've done a very good job.
I am proud of us.
Me too.
Dare we say this is the definitive Nintendo casting of Star Wars?
Yes, and I would challenge anyone else to ever undertake this endeavor. Because look, it was hard.
It was hard.
Harder than I thought it was going to be. But if you think that there are any obvious choices that we left on the table, please email us at nintendocartridgesociety@gmail.com and let us know. If you like this episode, you can share it on Apple Podcasts, or you can rate, review, and subscribe. All that kind of stuff helps us out tremendously. On Twitter, you should follow us. I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKE Mitchell, and the show is at Nincart Society. We also have a Facebook page, which is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. From my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying, listen! And thanks for listening.
Hi folks, Sean Watkins here. I'm here to tell you about my podcast/album called This Is Who We Are. That's right, it's a podcast and a record, all rolled into one. Each episode features one song off the record paired up with a conversation with a guest who is related to that song in some way. Guests include Jackson Brown, Inara George, Kate McCucci, and the conversations aren't about these songs specifically. The songs just serve as sort of a topical springboard that hopefully will lend a little context to this new album of mine. Sort of like a modern-day version of liner notes, only much more personal. The podcast and the album are both called This Is Who We Are. Check it out wherever you get your podcasts.